Hello, my beauties. I'm so happy that I remember that I need to push the recording button because I just spent this few minutes before with my beautiful, dear friend Keren-Or Atari, which we have walked and probably will continue walking our life journey together since we both opened up to our spiritual service. Keren-Or is an outstanding, beautiful, deep, inspiring, rich, courageous lady that I'm honored to walk by, and she is an international healing and spiritual teacher who have taught worldwide, spent her life in New York and in Brazil and now in Israel, bringing a lot of wisdom coming from also the Curanderos lineage and from other inspiration that are passing through her, through the teaching and through art. I'm so happy that we remember to push the button and start recording the conversation.
Very typical for us to start talking. During the time I was thinking, that should be recorded. There's so many goodies. Thank you, Homaya, for inviting me, and I'm so happy to share, and I'm so happy to be a friend and to walk like so many years together and grow together on this path and expand and serve even more with more precision.
Yes, it's an incredible journey. And I feel that one of the things we started to speak of, one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you here in the podcast is because you're the person, like my number one person, who is super connected to her intuition. If I would scan, who's the person from all the people I know that is just like her intuition is, oh, so bright, is you. And as this podcast is about the calling and connecting to your intuition and following your intuition and following your spiritual calling and so on, it was so important for me to bring you. So I want us to communicate about that. And then I really also would love us to continue what we started through that. So I feel that we can merge both conversations. One of the things that happened when we started communicating was about leadership and showing up at this time, and how much it is impossible now to cover our light, and how much we should really be connected to what is awakened and active within us. And I know that you have made in your life, throughout your life, major acts of transitioning and shifting and changing and moving internally and externally from one state to the other, from one situation to another situation. And I know that your guidance was your intuition.
Yeah, do you want me to talk about things like more personal? So I'll go, because I'm thinking, what can I share in the way that I can teach people? And I guess just like my personal experience. And when I review my life, I think like really courage is like always by my side. And it comes from being loyal to myself, to my soul, to my path, and to truth. And when I have intuition about something that I know is true, that's it. Nothing will stop me. I don't want to stop. I really want to stay in a place where I know that it's time to close. Or I know other people who maybe will be in a relationship that they know that it's not anymore good for them, and they will stay a few more years just because many reasons, like children or afraid of change. And I think for me always it's this loyalty for truth was my guiding torch. I think this is what sparked my intuition, because like sometimes you don't know, but the knowing when it comes, you just have to trust yourself. We have different psychic ways to see things. There's some people who are very visionaries, like you, Maya, and like all the time. It's so interesting to talk with you because your visions give me inspiration for paintings. And there's some people who are auditorious and some people who are like feelers, and some people who are know. And I'm a feeler and a knower, and especially knower. And when you're a knower, you just know, you cannot explain it. And you have to trust that and to trust yourself, because this is your lesson. Because when you know, nobody can confirm it as to you. You didn't have any vision or visual or sound or word to guide you. It's just like an inner knowing. So when you learn about that, that it's part of your quality, I think in a way, life give you the life lessons to learn to trust yourself. Like you have to learn to embrace that you are in integrity and trust it. And maybe this is another point actually, because how can you trust yourself if you are not in integrity? So this is probably something that guided me for so long, is always to double check myself, to double check that I'm in integrity, that I'm in align, that I'm in alignment with source, with the earth, with my soul, with truth again. And that kind of loyalty to be in integrity helped me trust myself. And today I know that many times I just said, like, even the things that looks like errors, I know that they are not, and they are so precise, and I know to trust myself 100%, even if it doesn't make any sense for other people. And so I would say to the listeners, there's this few aspects of connecting to our intuition that it can really guide us in every day. And one of them is really working on ourselves. So when you work on yourself, you know yourself better. And when you know yourself, you can trust yourself, and you can trust that voice that comes from source, because there's always other voices. There's the voice of the mind, of the ego, of some patterns that don't want to change. And there's the voice of the collective consciousness. There can be other voices. But the thing is to really listen to this like soft voice of your true self. You have to do the work. And I
Yeah.
remember now Star Fuentes,
Our master.
a master teacher, beloved. And I met her when I was 30 years old. Today I'm 51. And she said, you don't like to work, you just want to play. I wanted to dance, I wanted to paint, I want to make love, I want to have fun. And I was like, yeah, but why not? And today, when life became so intense around, I understand why the inner work was so important. And stepping into a greater responsibility it comes with maturity. And I appreciate maturity. I appreciate my age also. I think it doesn't come without work, and work takes time. But with all that saying, I can just say that I see the younger generation, how mature they are, much more than how we used to be in our early 20s. This is like a new age. It's just, I feel chills. I feel like my body is like really appreciating so much that there is evolution, and you can see consciousness change in people, and maybe we are path openers, and this is our work. We have to do that. And maybe it's not our generation that's going to celebrate completely all the visions that we see from the future of like people in harmony, of peace and love. We get to see it in our community, thank God. But when we want to see it in the world, the whole world,
Yes.
And this is, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I see every generation is just more evolved, more in tune with themselves. They talk a language that I can have a regular conversation with like younger people. So yeah.
Also important also to mention, right? Your two girls that you're speaking from a very intimate knowing of. Leah and Yasmin.
Yeah,
Leah.
Leah's 23 years old and Yasmin is 14. And they're like 23 years old. I already can feel that she's my daughter, but she's already of the world already. And I can see her and admire her noble presence and humility and all these beautiful qualities she has. without the attachment that this is my daughter. Yeah. While Yasmin is still growing, she has her bomb energy, like really a lot. Being a Leo yourself, a double Leo, you know what it means, Homaya. It's like a lot of energy. It's just amazing to be around. And I'm happy to see her grow. And yeah, so I think I see that more in people like 20 and more, that kind of wisdom of consciousness. And when they're younger, they still, the collective consciousness is really, yeah, maybe not. Actually, they're much smarter than how we are. I see children 6 years old, 7 years old, who talk to me in light language. They understand sacred geometry and color. They are really wise, they understand frequencies. They're like, wow, I'm in awe. I think we probably all have these potentials, but because our parents could not see that and give space to it, it probably was kind
I'm
of
not sure that it was the conversation at that time. When we were young, I'm not sure that was the conversation for our parents, so there was not a meeting point around that. We came from a place where religion was way more impactful as a spiritual path than self-inquiry and esoteric knowledge. That created already a certain dissonance, which I feel that now is less and less dominant. But I feel that also it is important to stay a little bit on this point where you were mentioning, for example, that Star is really emphasizing and highlighting how much it is important to do the inner work. And I feel for me, if I wouldn't have done my inner work, I wouldn't be able to be who I am now. Almost everything that I owe now, internally and externally, is because of the inner work that I've done. And part of the inner work that you have done is to be able to magnetize to yourself also younger generation that can have conversations in fluidity, in coherence, because you have done this clarity to become a pure vessel, to become a very well attuned being.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
feel that?
that. Yeah, it's hard to see ourselves sometimes from the outside, and when you point that to me, I was like, yeah, this is probably my niche. And people who are looking for expanding their consciousness, who are feeling they're like maybe they used to be rebels, but it's not anymore about being a rebel. They want to be in service and they want to help the world evolve, and they have courage to do that, and they're just looking for different tools, people to support them, and being in a community. Being in a community is extremely important for people. I think I've seen many people who get like openings, third eye opening, and they see how they are messengers of truth. And sometimes I guess, misjudge that to think that there's something really special about it and about them. And it's not that it's not special, but we all are, and we have to do it together. We cannot hold one torch or one candle alone and is, hey, follow me. We have to come together. It's part of the new consciousness of community, of the Aquarius age, with all the visions, with like more and more people coming together. And as we talked before when we didn't record, I've mentioned that also the work for women to come together is really important at this time, because it's really important for women to empower women, because as we see the world, the way it looks, it doesn't look so good. And we are already tired from old men with the old mind running and leading or in their own way. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work in any system, not education system, medical system, in politics, whatever.
Finance.
We need the women to come, and we need the women to believe that they can, because the patriarchy and all that left women always in the shadow. And and when we are coming together, we're empowering each other. and we're starting to walk like the path of a leader, because this is what I can see that will change the humanity and whatever is needed here and bring new systems to new life.
Yeah. And I feel that this is part of the work, the inner work that we are called to do in this era, is really to see that it is the communion that is leading. It is the communion that is leading, because the old paradigm, like you're saying, the white patriarchic masculine paradigm is saying there is one leader at the top, while who wants to be this one leader at the top? Who can carry everything? It was relevant when what you needed to carry was within your capacity. But now there's so many input and output that is happening in every space, in every connection, in every community, in every aspect of life. There's so many moving pieces. No one can handle that by its own. But there needs also to be for us, inside of us, this relaxation, this expansion, this release of one should have an answer. You have your answer, and the other person have an answer, and all the answers can coexist. There not necessarily needs to be one answer. We can coexist with all the answers.
Exactly. And respect. I think respect is such a great way to be in you can be like authentic, and you can believe in your like in your way, and respect that other is such a different person and has different opinions and probably a different way.
Yeah,
And
and
I
different
believe that
needs.
there is a divine harmony, that there's a way to coexist within all these even like very different ways of thinking and being.
Yeah, I echo with it. And again, going back to the inner work, because if you take care of yourself in all dimension, you clean your shadow, you are in connection with the fact that there are still shadow sides that exist, and they will also come to the light when you will be handling also them. So you are aware of the shadow side, you are aware that there is still work that needs to be done, and you're also respectful or the light of the light side. Because one of the things you mentioned, you said you said there are people who are waking up to their spiritual aspect, to their light aspect, and they're like overestimating it. And there's also the other side, that there are people who are waking up to the spiritual path and to their spirituality, and they're underestimating it. There are still, although there is such a beautiful awakening, they still have a certain perception that awakening, that knowledge, that wisdom is supposed to be accepted and govern, we can say, only a certain era of life, instead of waking up to the fact that the light activators, the spiritual leaders, I said today in one of my classes, we are the guardian angels of humanity. This is part of our job, and we must wake up to that.
Yeah, I love this voice. It reminds me something that I believe that even I heard you, Homaya, saying something about over humility, that is also a game of the ego at the end. And we have to watch that, because there's always will be some voice that's trying to block us to be completely in our path, in our light, to shine on. So we're always afraid to be in that place where we are like too much, but also too little. It's the other problem on the other side, where we're still not serving, when we're still not completely aligned with what our soul purpose.
Yeah, exactly. This conversation about over humility, it was in with Sophia, my friend, over on the podcast as well. But I do remember also that you and I, ages ago, we had a conversation about this dynamic between humility, humbleness, and self-esteem. I think it was like, I don't know, when it was in Brazil, I don't know, 14 years ago or something like that. We were just starting. We both were beginners. And it really, there needs to be an attentiveness where you can be humble in order to be receptive, but it doesn't mean that you're not in charge. It doesn't mean that you're not responsible. It doesn't mean that you're not awakened. Humbleness doesn't need to be like dimming your light or getting you blurry. Humbleness actually makes you more in tune. And if you have a feeling, I want to hear, what do you feel would be the attributes that you would like to see leaders in this age cultivating? What do you feel?
I feel that what is really important, that any thought or any action should be connected to the heart. And when we are coming with all our deeds like from the heart, we cannot do harm. We cannot really not be in tune, the way I like to call it. It's just there's so many things to do when we write, when we talk to people, when we present ourselves, when we lead, where we walk, where we do anything. Just imagine the leaders doing everything from their heart. Just connect to the heart first. And women, of course, connect to the heart and to their womb. It's just there's some magic in it, that of knowing, of like ancestors' knowledge that have so much wisdom. And a heart also it has the capacity to make like major transformation. And we cannot do everything only with the heart. We definitely doing is there's a lot of act in it, especially when it comes to leadership. But the thing is, like, really bring that always, maybe always start from the connect to the heart and then do.
Yeah.
And then I think this
Yeah.
is probably like a great quality that can make major changes in the world.
And I feel that it's also very much in the attributes that you mentioned before about the intuition being aligned and being in harmony with yourself and listening to the guidance inside. And I feel that this quality of the womb, I feel that one of the things we, in a collective leadership, in an harmonious leadership in that sense, we must understand that there will be some places that we will be aware of how much and what do we do and how do we influence, and there would be places that we're not aware. And it doesn't mean that we're not doing it. I was giggling with joy with a few minutes ago when you said, your vision inspired me in some of my arts. And this is part in me that I do not know, I was not aware, but I'm so happy to know that. And in our few minutes before, when we started to communicate, before we started recording, you were saying, I'm posting, but maybe I'd like to post more and so on. And we cannot know who is reading that. But we do know from the heart and from the womb, this is the beauty in that someone wants to read that. Someone needs to read that. And this is where there is this impulse to create. And part of being connected to our intuition is also following the impulse. Because if you just have an intuition and you don't do anything around it, it's like it will die. It's just going to stop sending messages. Who would it speak with? But if you have an intuition and you have something move you and you move with it without judgment, without an expectation, without someone guaranteeing that it's going to be effective, that people are going to read it, that people are going to like it, that indeed it's going to, I have an intuition and I move with it, this part makes the intuition stronger and makes the leadership stronger. I feel that it ties so well because we cannot speak about intuition in this time without speaking about leadership, because the intuition is here to lead you. It's here to guide you.
Yeah, I think it's really important conversation, and just where like connecting to like the heart and the womb, and like that just these specific words that we talked about, and then you bring intuition. I feel like there's like a great download here for people. And I felt like really something very strong is happening, like a new download that is coming. And off for that, for this conversation that we are having, and bringing probably something new for people, because we know, Homaya, the way we work is much more than what it seems. We work on so many levels, on so many dimensions, and we work to the subconscious. So even like few words, sometimes they can spark something new in people. And I appreciated you so much for doing this podcast, because I'm sure that it comes really to awaken this
Yeah, this is why
inspiration.
it is the calling. The name of the podcast is the calling. Listen, here we have, here's a download and another one, and from here, from there.
I love magic and I get nostalgic with you. I think in the first years that we started, we could not stop talking. We were together, and then when I came back home, we were on the phone, continued talking because we were like so excited about everything, about discovering like that we are working in night school and our teachers and the lineage and healing and the path and what's happening with us. And it was so good to share it with you. It was really amazing. Oh my God. That was we did a lot of that, and I think this is like the time where we get that kind of more responsibility to pass it on to people, because there's more people who are so thirsty for this kind of download for knowledge to wake up. I like to see the movie The Matrix as okay, take the red pill and just see that from a completely different perspective, and then you can come back to the matrix, but you will never be the same because you know where you are. This is responsibility.
I look at the Matrix like it's the new Bible. Like the two pills are the fruits of, like the forbidden fruit, so called, which was not necessarily forbidden. So there's the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And I feel that the Matrix, what it is doing in this film is that they're taking, okay, we took from the tree of knowledge, not only from the tree of life, we took it, but we can still have the wisdom of the tree of life awaken within us. We haven't done a choice that erased all the choices before. Metaphorically, we have the capacity, like we've been created as a projection of divinity. And a part of this projection of divinity is that everything is possible. And people got lost if we spoke, I don't know if it was in this recording or before we recorded, when we spoke about this religion, the limitation of religion. With all due respect, there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of light and a lot of beautiful things there. But under the religion and under the old paradigm, you can either the tree of life or the tree of knowledge. And I feel that what inspired me very much when I see the Matrix is that it's not either or. You were created as a projection of an expanded, constantly expanded, unlimited, infinite consciousness that is projecting reality again and again and again. You took from the tree of knowledge, it is expanding you, it is not replacing you. And I feel that this is why we are thinking and living in a life where we feel that we are disconnected from paradise. And like this is the duality. And that we feel it's either a unity is that we're both. We can have survival thoughts inside of us, and it doesn't mean that simultaneously we cannot contain and align with infinity, because if it is infinity, then it can indeed integrate limitation in it without being limited. You get me?
I get you completely, and I feel to share that to get to this state of mind, there's a certain responsibility of us to be in alignment every day, and the way to do it is to meditate. Like daily meditation, I think I never appreciated enough until like life started getting like more intense for me. And if I don't meditate, I lose the train. I have to get that. So I always reconnect. I'm always getting out from like the game of duality, bring myself back to the union, and then I come back to duality, but without all the intensity of emotions or mental, and then you can create with more ease, with more grace. And this is something that I like to encourage every person. It doesn't have to be 1 hour sitting straight or doing vipassana. Sometimes it's not easy for people. I understand this. Doing 10 minutes. 10 minutes instead of scrolling on social media. Just sit by yourself, put a candle to remember that you connect to something more sacred, connect to source, connect to the earth, take a deep breath to your heart, and just stay there. And sometimes great insights come and sometimes not. But even in that place where nothing happens, you get more that kind of silence, and that place where the game of duality is not so intense and you can be in a place that is more centered and listen to intuition. You need to give a space for it,
Yeah.
and and if the mind is too busy, and sometimes it happens, what I like to do is write. Just sit and write whatever it is. So I give myself some action, and then my meditation has some action, but it's also at the end like bring me to a very
Stay.
similar state where I'm more connect to that place where you understand that at the end you have so much responsibility, that everything that happened in your life has something to do and a lot to do with you. So we better do it right.
It has to do only with you, first and foremost, right? Yeah, and it comes together again. Again, we are coming together to this point where you need to do your inner work. It comes inside out. It's not going to work the other way around. It's inside out. So strong, this important. I feel that there is a podcast session with Star. I'm going to call her in. She's going to be a repeated guest, because if I could have just a podcast with Star, that would be amazing. Yeah, and I feel that one of the things that we have is that we have like spiritual bones. Like our spiritual work was intense and fully committed, and it was so clear that this is the thing. Both of us, in different ways, we just committed 100% to our spiritual work. Like both of us, we just gave our life completely to it. And I feel that we're having the reward, because I can feel that my spirituality is undoubtable. I can have some questions about some things in life sometimes, but they're so peripheric, because within me, the truth is solid and it's getting refined. It's not that, oh, there would be no places where I feel fear or I double check but it will still be always in relation to this solid presence inside of me.
Yeah.
And we keep on coming back to it through meditation. You were mentioning you do shadow work. We were mentioning it's like journaling. Just do the work to
Yeah.
to really embody this oneness consciousness in the vastness of it within you.
Yeah. Listen to your inner being and be present with it, because as much as more refined, it's undoubtable. And
Yeah.
it's even painful if you want to doubt it. It's like, I don't know, I'm like also a feeler. I can feel like nausea. I feel if I'm out of tune in a place where, all right, this is not for me. I'm like, my body will scream. And that's it. It's okay, I'm out. All right, I listen. We don't have to let like different hard life experiences or diseases come to the body in order to listen.
To
Now I
wake up.
listen. It's like
What is
painful. Okay, I have to listen. Yeah, it can come from the subtle bodies. It can come from much before.
Yeah. Yeah, life want to speak with you. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember it was long ago that I had my motorbike and I was falling with a motorbike, and you told me you probably were not supposed to go to where you wanted to go there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, now when you tell me, I remember that. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, we need to appreciate everything, even if it's sometimes it's painful, but it's just a wake up call or a place where we okay, right, listen. It's like okay, listen better, and then you go,
yeah,
because it's like going to the unknown with blindfolds all the time, and we don't know what will be the next step. But I think as much as we're doing the inner work, we even can vision the next step. We can
yeah,
create the next step
exactly.
for that. So this is part of mastery. And and more people are aware of it. There's more books written about it. And like the law of attraction, it's so known now. There's so many other laws that, I like the law of karma, the law of
Yeah, the grace.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is really important, again, to go deeper. My love, with you as well, I think that I can be like 10 podcast episodes, one after the other. I love you so much. I am so grateful for your presence here. And I'm sure that the people who are listening will be inspired. There's a lot of, I don't want to say food, but it's like there's a beautiful transmission in various aspects that I can feel them as whole. So I'm so grateful we had that.
Thank you, Homaya, for inviting me, and
I love you.
God bless everyone that listens.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.